Question 9 is a function question. So like with most function questions, I'm going to read the sentence before and sentence after the underlined portion. So sentence before, it says that Jeremy Douglas cautioned technology investors and enthusiasts who predict that conventional books ultimate displacement by newer forms of media. So other people are predicting that books are going to be replaced by newer forms of media, and Jeremy Douglas is saying, hey, be careful about saying that, because he's saying the concept of an interactive test, so this must be the newer forms of media that they were talking about earlier, because they're actually older than you think, and they go back to the first time readers scratch notes in a text margin. So he's saying actually interactive texts are a lot older, and they exist during the era of conventional books. So he's saying newer media, it's not way before or way after regular books. They're kind of work in the same timeline. And then in the sentence after, it goes, in addition, newer media haven't replaced older forms, but rather exist alongside them. So again, we're coming back to this idea that like, hey, new media isn't really new and they don't replace other things. They're just a new part of different kinds of, or different forms of media that we can consume. So that's what we're talking about here. I'm not going to read the rest. Let's go read the answer choices. Answer choice A says it challenges the stance of the investors and enthusiasts who are mentioned earlier in the test. Yet challenges is a good way because we say cautioned in the passage. So he's saying, hey, be careful about what you say. I don't entirely agree with that. And what they said earlier in the text is like, books are going away because we have new forms of media. We have like YouTube to watch, TikTok to watch. Nobody's reading books anymore. And he's saying, hey, be careful about saying that. So A, I like that for now. Let's move on to the other three. Answer choice B says it explains the basis for the claim made by the technologists in the text. So the technologists he's talking about here are actually that the interactive text is much older. And it's explaining the basis for that claim. Well, it's actually not explaining why we think that interactive texts are much older. And it's not explaining why we can think that or what's the evidence for that. That's really not discussed at all in the underlined sentence. So B is incorrect. Answer choice C says it suggests that academics are better suited. So immediately I go, academics are better, ? First of all, academics we didn't see in the passage. And we're not comparing about who is better or less capable of seeing how we can use interactive text or these new forms of media. We're not making any comparisons on different groups in that way. So for that reason, C is also incorrect. D says it provides a historical anecdote about the technological challenges involved in reading the earliest interactive text. First of all, earliest interactive texts, we haven't really discussed at length, and we're not talking about the challenges of reading those interactive texts. We're really talking about whether or not conventional books will get replaced by newer forms of media, or if newer forms of media will just coexist with them. So it's not about how difficult it is to read these earlier interactive tests, which I'm assuming they're talking about here when they're talking about earliest interactive texts. They're probably talking about these scratch notes on a text margin. They're not talking about how hard it is to read these things. So for that reason, D is also incorrect and A is the correct answer.